Chapter 1. The town of Ravenswood was steeped in history, its roots stretching back to the early days of colonial America. Nestled deep within a forest that seemed to have a life of its own, Ravenswood was a place where the modern world had never truly taken hold. The town's architecture reflected its age, with buildings made of stone and timber, their facades weathered by centuries of harsh winters and the relentless march of time. The people of Ravenswood were a close-knit community, bound together by generations of shared history and tradition. But beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent of fear, an unspoken understanding that certain places in the town were best left undisturbed. Chief among these was the mansion that stood at the edge of town, a looming presence that cast a long shadow over Ravenswood. The mansion had been built in the late 18th century by Alistair Ravenswood, a wealthy landowner and industrialist who had amassed his fortune through the lumber and shipping industries. Alistair was a man of great ambition, but he was also reclusive, preferring the solitude of his mansion to the company of others. He rarely ventured into town, and when he did, the townsfolk gave him a wide berth, unnerved by his cold demeanor and the air of mystery that surrounded him. Rumors began to circulate about Alistair's true nature. Some said he was a practitioner of the dark arts, dabbling in forbidden rituals in an attempt to unlock the secrets of immortality. Others claimed he was cursed, doomed to walk the earth forever, searching for a way to end his suffering. Whatever the truth, it was clear that Alistair Ravenswood was not a man to be trifled with. The mansion itself was a reflection of its owner's dark and twisted soul. It was a grand, sprawling estate, with high walls and iron gates that kept the outside world at bay. The interior was lavishly furnished, with expensive tapestries, fine china, and chandeliers that sparkled with.
But beneath the surface, there was a sense of rot and decay, as if the very walls of the mansion were soaked in evil. Over the years, strange occurrences began to plague Ravenswood. People who ventured too close to the mansion reported hearing eerie noises, whispers in the wind, the sound of footsteps echoing through empty hallways, and the faint strains of music that seemed to come from nowhere. Those who dared to enter the mansion often came back changed, their minds shattered by the horrors they had witnessed. Some never returned at all, their fates a mystery that only added to the mansion's dark legend. The townsfolk grew increasingly fearful of the mansion, and it wasn't long before it was abandoned altogether. Alistair Ravenswood disappeared without a trace, and the mansion was left to crumble into ruin, its once grand halls now overrun with ivy and decay. But the fear remained, passed down from generation to generation like a dark secret, a whispered warning to all who called Ravenswood home. The mansion became a symbol of the town's unspoken fears, a place where the veil between the living and the dead was said to be thinnest. Parents would tell their children stories of the cursed mansion to keep them from wandering too far from home, and even the bravest of souls avoided the estate as though it were the plague. But the mansion was more than just a source of ghost stories. It was a monument to the darker side of human nature, a reminder that evil can take root in even the most idyllic of places. The people of Ravenswood had learned to live with the mansion's presence, accepting it as a part of their town's identity, but always with a sense of unease. The mansion was a wound that had never healed, a scar on the town's history that no one dared to touch. As the years passed, the mansion's legend grew. It was said that Alistair Ravenswood had not simply disappeared, but had instead been consumed by the very forces he had sought to control. His experiments with dark magic had opened a doorway to another realm, and the mansion had become a gateway between worlds, a place where the dead could cross into the realm of the living, and where the living could be trapped forever. Those who ventured into the mansion after its abandonment reported seeing ghostly figures, hearing disembodied voices, and feeling a suffocating presence that seemed to watch their every move. Some claimed to have seen Alistair himself, his twisted spirit wandering the halls in search of a way to escape the hell he had created. But no one could say for certain what had happened to the mansion's original owner, or what horrors lurked within its walls. The mansion's reputation only grew with each passing year, and it wasn't long before it became a magnet for thrill-seekers and paranormal investigators. They came from far and wide, drawn by the promise of a genuine haunted house experience, but few left with more than a few grainy photographs and a story to tell. The mansion's secrets remained locked away, hidden behind its crumbling walls, and those who sought to uncover them often paid a heavy price. Ravenswood, once a town of hope and prosperity, had become a place of shadows and secrets. The mansion's curse seemed to seep into every corner of the town, casting a pall over its residents and driving away those who might have brought new life to the area. Businesses closed, houses were left to rot, and the once thriving community became a ghost town in all but name. The townspeople had learned to live with the mansion's presence, but the fear was always there, lurking just beneath the surface. They avoided the mansion as best they could, but it was impossible to forget that it was there, watching over the town like a malevolent sentinel. The mansion had become a part of Ravenswood's identity, a dark reflection of the town's soul.